Welcome. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome, returning viewers. And for those of you watching us for the first time, we're so glad you could join us. Generally, Colleen and I have a knitting podcast where we talk about Colleen's knitting, and we also do other crafts. Now, one of the other crafts that we've decided to dip our big toe into is soap making and candle making. So this is our very first time ever, and we're hoping that you will join us on this soap making journey.
So I'm going to be making my very first batch of cold processed soap. So I'm going to be using lavender, and I'm going to be using Lavender 4042. So let's just take a smell, see what you think, May. Ooh, smells great.
Now lavender is one of those scents. I love lavender, and it just in small doses it makes me feel calm and relaxed.
I better use small doses. I'm just saying.
Well, we'll see how that works in soap, but I do like that.
Yeah, I do like that.
I do like fragrance,
well.
So it's always a good fragrance to start with.
Exactly. So I'm going to be using two colors. I'm going to try to use a white and a purple, and I'm going to try and do something called an in-the-pot swirl. Never done soap before. Probably should be making a plain bar of soap, but I really want to do an in-the-pot swirl. So that's what I'm going to do.
Are you nervous today about your...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely nervous.
What could go wrong?
Well, so many things. And yet we're going to be careful. We're going to do all our work as far as the life safety.
We will watch to the very end of the video, and we'll discuss how your experience was at the end of what you were going through, because it's going to be really difficult to talk about that as you're going through the learning process.
Oh, it's not happening. No.
It's kind of like a reality show, but you're seeing us from the very beginning.
Exactly. I will be in front of the camera, and May is going to be supporting me behind the scenes.
I'll be the assistant.
The sous chef.
Now, I want to give a big shout out to our friends Pete and Karen. They were absolutely amazing, and they had us over, and they went through a whole kind of a tutorial with us, actually making a soap batch, but showing us what to do and showing us the ropes and where to get some of our supplies. So really, thank you for that, Pete and Karen. We really appreciate that. And also, we've learned from the professionals on YouTube.
Exactly. We've done a lot of YouTube
and
watching.
Research. Exactly.
We have learned a lot. So watch until the end of the episode, and May and I are going to talk about the soap results and our soap experience and how much fun we had making soap. So let's get started.
It's important when working with lye to have proper safety gear, masks to protect us from fumes, and we will work in a well-ventilated area. Hairnet's optional, but prevents hair from getting into your soap. Goggles are to protect our eyes. Our glasses are not enough. And finally, gloves, long sleeve shirt, and closed-toed shoes. First stop is putting the recipe into soap calc. The first ingredient is the distilled water. I use half distilled water ice cubes and half chilled distilled water to keep the fumes down. Measurements have to be really accurate. I measure out my sodium hydroxide next. I then mix my sodium hydroxide into the distilled water. I mix in a little at a time. I keep stirring until the sodium hydroxide is all dissolved. I add 2 teaspoons of sodium lactate. This ingredient helps the soap to be able to come out of the mold easier. I I take the temperature of my lye solution, it's 139.1 degrees Fahrenheit. I put the lye solution aside in a safe place to let it cool down. I measure out my lavender essential oil. I mix my titanium dioxide into some hot water. This will help make my soap white. I mix up my ultramarine purple. I tried to use the mini blender and had purple specks everywhere. Now to my oils. I measure out my coconut oil. I melt it in the microwave using 30-second short bursts at medium power. Next, my olive oil. I then add my castor oil and sweet almond oil. I check the temperature of my oils and my lye. They are within 10 degrees Fahrenheit of each other, so I can proceed. I pour the lye solution into the oils. I pour the lye down the shaft of the stick blender to prevent bubbles. I burp the stick blender and then proceed to mix up my batter. I stir and then blend until I have everything emulsified. I add my titanium dioxide to my entire batter to whiten it. I mix my lavender oil into the entire batter too. I split my batter in half and color 1/2 purple. I changed to the whisk, which was much easier to work with. I mix it in really well. Now it's time for the in the pot swirl. I pour the purple into the white batter at 4 places. I then give it one quick stir and through the batter with the spatula, and it's time to pour. I pour into the mold, going back and forth. I scrape the remaining purple batter onto the top and then use a clear rod to make swirls on the top of the soap. I had preheated the oven to 107 degrees Fahrenheit and then turned it off before putting the soap in. I tapped the mold down to get rid of the air bubbles. I put the lid on the soap and placed it in the oven. It has now been 24 hours and it's time to unmold my soap. It's really pretty. I love the muted tones. The silicone mold works great. I check the pH to make sure all of the lye has been used up. The stick measures green. The soap is safe to handle without gloves. It's time to cut the soap. I clean up the top edges before I get the cutter out. The cutter works well. I twist the soap bar to make sure it is easier to release from the cutter. I tidy up the edges of each bar. The lavender scent is amazing. I weigh 1 bar. I will check this after 4 to 6 weeks to see what the final weight is.
Well, that was my very first batch of soap. I was so nervous. I needed to make sure everything was in order. I had written out steps, which was great,
Right.
because we knew what we needed. I'd written down what we had to measure, so I was good with that.
We had done a dry run, actually.
Yes.
We had went through it before we actually did it, so
Exactly.
we had done all that.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that May was there, because she could definitely help me when I said, "I just take this."
Yeah.
Take this thing.
It's definitely great to have a person there to help you out, like
A
assistant.
sous chef, that's
Yes.
right. So at the beginning of the video, you saw that we used ice. I used ice, and I used chilled distilled water. Brilliant. Because they talk about the fumes from the sodium hydroxide, the lye.
Right. We also were in a well ventilated area. We had the door open, which
Exactly.
helped, but
And
that
we-
certainly helped too.
Exactly, and we were
had
wearing masks.
during
I-
that time. We didn't
I-
wear a mask the whole time.
No.
Just during when we mixed.
Exactly. So I didn't notice any fumes at all. So I think we did a good job with that. When I measured out my lye, there were a few little bits that didn't make it into the
The
cup.
granules kind of
granules.
bounced out
A
over
little
the
bit.
countertop a little
So we'll need to get some kind of funnel or something. We'll have to figure that out, because I had to wipe it off to make sure I didn't leave
Yeah.
any lye around, because that's not good. And then we put the lye away, which was great. What we did learn after this, just from watching some other videos, is that the sodium lactate that helps the soap get out of the mold, you're supposed to wait till the lye's a little cooler.
bit. Oh, okay.
So the lye solution's a little cooler. So that's something
So
that we
last
don't know.
minute you put that in?
They just say a little cooler. Some people put it in just before they start mixing
Right.
it. My concern is you'd forget.
Right.
I'd forget, not you'd forget.
Now, we
I'd
do
forget.
learn a lot from the professionals on the videos like Holly, Brambleberry,
Ellie's Handmade Soap, Ellen Ruth.
Ellen Ruth is
Yeah.
awesome too.
So we've
And-
watched all kinds of people. So it's
Professionals.
good that we're learning.
Yeah.
We're not professionals. We look like professionals,
But
but we're
not.
not professionals. As far as the titanium dioxide that we use to make it white, I mixed it up at the very beginning because I wanted everything in place, that mise en place that they talk about, everything in place. And it wasn't quite, when I needed to put it in, even though I stirred it up, I wasn't happy with it. So there's other ways that people do. Sometimes they make a big bottle of titanium dioxide. We're not going to
ahead of time, and they put some stainless steel marbles in it or something, and then
Ball
they
bearings,
shake it.
exactly.
So we have to talk about that.
Talk
a bit.
about that and see what we can do. The other thing is, I use too much titanium dioxide. I know that now. I didn't know it before, and I'll tell you how I knew, but in a little bit. The mini blender is a great tool, but not when the sides of your container are this high. There was purple everywhere. There was a purple spot on my lovely white shirt, and I went, "Oh my gosh!" Now, I said to May afterwards, I said, "Why was I worried? Like when you wash your hands with purple soap, your
But
hands
purple
don't
dye
get
doesn't
purple."
come out, yeah.
So obviously, anyway, it did. The
It
shirt
came
was
out.
fine. It was good. I did like the mini blender, but as I said, you need higher
Maybe a
sides.
deeper dish.
Deeper dish, exactly. I made the decision to put the titanium dioxide in the whole batter. So my soap was whiter to start with, which meant when I put my purple in, the titanium dioxide muted the purple. I'm happy with that. I don't think I was aware that that was going to happen. So if I really wanted a contrast between two colors, I would have to put titanium dioxide in one and the purple in the other, not do that. So that was thing. When I see myself mixing, I think, grab a spatula, clean the sides of the bowl. It's amazing when you watch yourself making something. I think, oh, yeah, I need to do that. So there's all those kind of things. I think to put a teaspoon in, to put the colors in, I tried to use a big spatula, and it kind of was a big spatula for a little thing.
Yeah.
So we
I
may
saw
need
you
to
struggling a little bit with that, but it's a learning curve.
Exactly. So maybe we need to get littler spoons or little spatulas. I'm sure. I know some people in their makeup, they use it to get the last bit of foundation at the bottom. So let's take a look. We'll do some research on that. Now, I used the In the Pot swirl, and I did okay with that. I put it in the four corners. I had extra purple left, so maybe I used too much. But, and I was really careful that I just went around once. They say that if you do too much, then you basically just get a more muted purple. You don't get to see the colors.
Right.
So I'm pleased that I did that. I must admit that big bowl is heavy for me.
Right.
So option one, start lifting weights, Colleen. Or option two, maybe use a plastic bowl when I'm doing that mixing.
Right. The only reason why that big glass bowl is great is because when we're filming, you can actually see that.
Yeah.
But we can think about that.
What I could do is if I'm using a couple of colors, I could put some in after it's mixed up.
Right.
Because I know that for the filming it works better. The one thing that I did when I was doing the swirls on the top, I did the swirls and went, I'm not sure I like those. And then I swirled a little bit more. Swirl once, look at it and leave it. Because I just, what's the word that you use?
Around
Foots it. She tells me I foots too much. So I was doing that. Now, I chose with my soap, because we'd watch some people do that, that they process it in the oven. That doesn't mean the oven's on. So you heat the oven to a certain temperature, turn it off.
You preheat the oven to 170, the lowest ever.
And turn it off. Which I did. And then you're supposed to put the soap in, wrap it up, and put the soap in. Which I did. In hindsight, because titanium dioxide can cause glycerin rivers, and if your soap's too hot, can cause glycerin rivers, those two things together gave me, guess what? Glycerin rivers. So I must admit, my first bar of soap, I thought, oh, what did I do? But I used too much, and I won't put it in the oven again. I think our house is warm enough that just wrapping it up.
It depends on, I guess, the environment, the climate that you live in and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it is, try something, think no.
Now, in hindsight, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Would it have been better, without trying a batch of soap, without possibly adding all the titanium dioxide, and so just doing, if you're starting out in hindsight.
In hindsight, I would do lavender, and I would do purple soap, all the purple soap.
Right.
That's what I would do. I might be fancying a few little lavender buttons on top, but I think that's what I would do.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I think we did all right. We've got soap that you can use, soap that I could give to a family member who's going to be understanding. So I'm happy with it. I learned a lot, and I think that's the key.
Right.
The other thing that I learned when I was cutting my soap is that because we're not cutting with a wire, which just goes down and then you can wipe the wire off, you need to, after each slice, clean that cutter off.
Right.
Because the colors were getting mushed.
Oh, right. Well,
by the time you got to the end, it was kind of smearing it down.
That's right.
And I should have just cleaned it off. I think it would have been better.
And also, I would like to invest or make a wire cutter, because I think that would be... Not that this cutter wasn't horrible.
No.
I mean, it's manageable.
Yeah, exactly.
Manageable. I trusted it more than I would trust myself with a knife.
Right.
You see a lot of those professionals that have done this for years.
Exactly.
And they know what they're doing.
Right.
They can do an inch, an inch.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, so I liked it for that sense, that you could get the consistency of cutting a bar.
Exactly.
But as far as cutting, I think a wire cutter would be much better.
I think it is better. So anyway,
can we see your soap?
Oh, absolutely. Here is my lovely soap. You can see a glycerin river.
Look at all the positive things.
I know, and I am really, really happy with it. I am. It smells lovely. I love the lavender scent. I think I used the right amount of fragrance. So overall, I'm thrilled. I'm not scared of using lye anymore.
Right.
I know the things that I did wrong, I know how to fix them. It's not like it's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I know
Right.
exactly what happened. And now I can fix it, and I'm happy to do this. So I'm
Right.
really excited. And the thing is, we've talked, okay, what's your next batch of soap? Well, I'm 3 batches of soap from now.
We're so excited to get that
Exactly.
out.
That's
But
right.
you know, the scary thing was with that lye. But lye, I've learned, is not to be feared but respected. Kind of like the
Exactly.
lake. And I think because we did our homework
Right.
and we understood what we had to do, the precautions, and we were a little bit more confident.
Right.
And I would be a little bit more confident in my
Right.
next batch after
Exactly.
doing it for the first batch.
Right.
But taking those precautions definitely
Exactly.
was helpful. So,
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
we had a great time. Thanks so
Learned a
much
lot.
for watching. If you like what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe. This is our soap journey. It's the start of our soap journey, and we are so excited. So, until next time.
you take care.